Zoe Gardner joins us to talk about all of that, independent migration expert. Zoe, very good evening to you. Just tell us a little bit more, if you wouldn't mind, first of all, about what this treaty is and what you make of it. Evening.
Evening, Ben. So the treaty essentially is a cooperation agreement with the French. It's in a pilot phase that they're opening up tomorrow. And what they're going to do is that they're going to return one person who has crossed the Channel in a small boat to France in exchange for bringing one person who has not crossed the Channel in a small boat, but who presumably otherwise would have, to the UK through a safe and legal route. So it's been billed as one in, one out. And I think there's two things to say about it. The first is that it gets one very basic thing right, which is to acknowledge that there's no feasible way of cooperating with France in order to prevent small boat crossings without recognizing that we need to play our role and take our fair share of people from France too, right? Because the French just simply aren't going to agree to a deal where it's like, no, you just deal with everything and we deal with nothing. So that part of it is good. On the other hand, the one in, one out part just doesn't work, because if your safe route to come to the UK is dependent on somebody else risking their life in the Channel and then being detained and returned again, then, well, essentially, as soon as it starts to work and people don't go in the Channel, in theory, well, then there's no more places on the safe route. So as soon as sort of the alternative starts to be visible and people go, oh, we can take the alternative route, we don't have to risk our lives in the Channel, then the alternative route dries up because nobody's risking their life in the Channel. You see the problem?
Yes. I guess the government says, well, we've got an almighty backlog of tens of thousands of people. It's going to take quite a while for that to happen.
Yeah, well, so what you're saying is that in the meantime, people continue to cross the Channel and nothing changes. I mean, I just don't think that this effectively addresses the problem. And I think that what this is very clearly is the government acting sort of in desperation. We have the government with historically low poll ratings for the Labour Party. They've never polled as low as they have this week. And obviously who's gaining from that is the Reform Party. But recent research has shown us what we already knew from other examples around the world, but specifically looking at what's happening in this dynamic between Labour and the Reform Party, is that when the Labour Party talk tough on immigration, people report that they are more likely to vote for Nigel Farage. So this is a doom spiral that this government is in, and it's the identical doom spiral, ironically, that the last government was in, because I think you might remember that week in, week out of the last government, all we heard about was how they wanted to stop the boats, and it only benefited Nigel Farage and it cost them the election. I think there are better things that the government could be spending its time doing, frankly. I mean, if you want to do things that are popular with the public, you know, we know from the polling that it's far more popular than stopping the boats or turning people away or anything, would be exploring the nationalisation of our utilities and our water companies.
But they can't just give up. They can't just give up.
If you want to do popular things, the government is totally out of popular things to do. That's why they're giving migrants another
They can't give up on stopping the boats. Not just because of the cost and the fact that people who do
that will actually stop the boats.
Like what?
Well, you create a safe route, a safe alternative route, but you don't make it dependent on somebody risking their life in the Channel.
But the safe and legal route, which I take your point completely, but the safe and legal route is never going to be open to all the people who want to come here. So because the people who don't qualify will have to.
Who doesn't qualify? Why have we already decided people don't qualify?
Well, the alternative is, and perhaps this is what you're proposing, that we have a safe and legal route that is potentially open to millions and millions and millions and millions of people.
You see, because that's the scare story we get, right? It's like No, please.
Go on.
This is how it's always presented. It's either hundreds of millions of people, the entire world, everybody comes here, or what we have now. And that's actually not the real choice.
No, it's not what I'm saying at all. It's not what I'm saying. I'm not.
No, but it is.
It's not. I'm not saying hundreds of millions was come. I was saying even you have.
Okay, but you did just say hundreds of millions of people could come.
Could come.
See,
I said it would be.
It is a problem that we would.
Zoe, I said it would be open potentially to millions and millions and millions of people.
Yeah, well, I mean, technically, territorial asylum is theoretically open to hundreds of millions of people. The fact of the matter is 25,000 people have come this year. That is a drop in the ocean. You and I both know that, don't we? We know that that is a tiny proportion,
absolutely.
even of immigration, let alone
I'm not disagreeing at all. All I'm saying is if you have a safe and legal route, which I do think we need, and it is open to basically everybody, unless it is open to everybody, there will still be people who feel they don't qualify, who have been rejected, who try to come here by other means, illegal means.
Well, then we need to look at what we're talking about when we say people qualify. Because, for example, with Ukraine, we said anybody qualifies. We said it was totally uncapped.
Yep.
That's 38 million people, right?
Yep.
It's not hundreds of millions of people, 38 million people who we said, you live in a very poor country that has been invaded by a bloodthirsty dictator. Any number of you, an uncapped number of you, can come here and we will provide you directly with housing in our communities, direct and immediate access to our labour market, direct and unimpeded access to our welfare state, right? 38 million people we offered that to, and how many came? 200,000 people came.
Yep.
And it was totally manageable. And 25,000 people crossing on boats. You're telling me that it's impossible that we could offer a safe route to that many people, or even if that number increased, if it was a safe route that was managed similarly to the Ukraine scheme, what if it was higher than that, but nobody was crossing the boat on the boats in chaos? I think it's manageable. I think it's actually beneficial to us. We all know we need immigration. We can manage this differently, but we're just choosing to create a total mess. And this mess is actually now driving us towards a terrifying period of our politics. We are seeing, I think there are newspapers, there are commentators, there are politicians who won't be happy until we're seeing lynchings, until we're seeing riots, until we're seeing like really serious violence on our streets. There is a racism that is being whipped up off the back of this that we need to take seriously, and we need to give people alternative ways of thinking about how we can manage migration, because they do exist.
Appreciate your time, Zoe. Always interesting. Thank you very, very much indeed, Zoe Gardner, independent migration expert.